Well, good morning, YouTube. All right, guys, as you can see out of the passenger side of Goliath, we get a nice pretty view when we wake up. Not so much from the driver's side, with the exception of the goose right there. If you guys follow the show truck circuit, you'll know that the goose has been around a long time. It's a really cool truck. All right, so after a good night's sleep, probably too good of a night, once again, when I was done editing, it was almost 3 a.m. and slept in until about 10 this morning. So I don't normally sleep that late, but I was just tired. So now to fully wake up, going inside, getting some coffee. Well, guys, I tell you what, it has been one heck of a day. So when I did that opening this morning, it was at what, like 10:30, quarter to 11 or something like that? I don't remember. And it's now like 6:40 in the evening. I have spent all day long editing another video and trying to get it to load. And not just load, it's actually saving it. After I edit a video, I have to save the edited version of the video, and then I can upload it. And I'm having trouble getting that to save, or render as some people call it. It's just something is going wrong. I've got a corrupted file in there, and there's no clear path to figure out what file it is other than trial and error. And I've tried like 8 times now to get it to save, and it's not working. So I feel like I've got nothing done today, but I actually have. I did some more organizing in here and got some stuff put away. Also had a couple problems with the winch at the back door. When we got here yesterday and I went to go put the winch down, I hit the switch and nothing happened. Well, up there is where the winch is mounted. I don't know if you can see it up there. There you go. And just like most winches, they've got a lead, and normally you've got a button or a switch to operate it. Well, that's what wires to the switch on the trailer. And the plug on the winch itself had come loose, and that had happened once before. I want to say it was like 1.5 years or 2 years ago, and all I did was get up there and plug it back in and it worked fine. And that happened this time too, but that's a pain in the butt to do because when the trailer's loaded, trying to get up here to get to it isn't easy. So today what I did is once I got it open, I got it open yesterday. So today I climbed up on a ladder and I got up there and I just used a couple zip ties and I zip tied the plug tight so that it cannot come loose again, and hopefully we won't have that issue again. But also, a couple of you even mentioned in one of the last videos about the noise that the door makes going down. Now, the winch itself is kind of noisy, but there was a problem with the door where it would like skip and drop and like just not be smooth and consistent. And that's because the cable that you see there had a bunch of kinks in it. And it was like that when I bought the trailer. So what was happening is when those kinks were wrapping around the roller up there, it would cause the cable to kind of jump or slip off because of these bulgy spots, and it just wasn't very smooth and it was kind of annoying. And I've been meaning to take some length out of that cable. We pulled the cable out, I don't know, 1.5 years ago, and realized that after a certain period, the cable was in really good shape, and we were going to cut it and reattach it. And I bought all the supplies to do it, but just never got around to actually fixing it. So I did that today. So right here you can see there's a whole roll of cable. I took all of this cable out, and you can see a lot of areas like this, kinks and twists like that, and that's what was causing all of the issue. Now what you're seeing right there is 32 feet of cable that I took out of the system. All it does is lift the tailgate up and down. It didn't need 32 extra feet in it. But now I'm down to a minimal. Like, I've got exactly what I need to get the tailgate all the way to the ground with maybe about 1 foot to spare. And there's still one ugly spot in it, so somehow that got damaged over the time. It wasn't there before, but it's so much better, so much more smooth now. And I think that in part the problem with the kinks was because slack was getting in the cable and then when you went to roll it up, it was bunching up the slack. So now there isn't a lot of cable there to get slack, and we just have to be a little bit more diligent about not allowing slack to be in it before we start reeling it in. So my plan today was also to make a list of the things we wanted to do and go to the chrome shop and look around, and I still haven't even been over there yet. I did walk through the parking lot late last night when I just went for a walk. But yeah, we've been here 2 days now, and it just feels like I haven't accomplished anything that we've wanted to do. And well, now it's late. We're gonna go get some dinner, and it is Tuesday, and there's a Taco Bell in the parking lot. So Taco Tuesday it is. I don't know if you guys noticed, but the curb here is so tall that it's the same height as the trailer. In fact, I had to jump up the tongue jack a little bit so that this door wouldn't hit the curb when it opened. But it is actually kind of nice because I can step right straight out of the trailer onto this curb. I can walk down to the door of Goliath and step straight in to the house without any step ups or anything. It's actually kind of nice. And there's the bell right there. Well, I may potentially have some good news. While we were having dinner at Taco Bell, I kept deleting specific clips from the edit, and I think I finally got rid of the corrupted file. The problem is I had to get rid of a bunch of files because I didn't know which one it was. But I was able to get the video to a state where it will upload. Bad thing is I have to add files back in and hope they don't get corrupted again, and then re-edit the whole second half of that video. So hopefully that will all go well tonight, but I'm not gonna do it right now. Katie and I decided to go for a walk to kind of work off our dinner. So we're taking a stroll around the 75 Chrome shop, see what kind of trucks are in the back. Alright guys, back at Goliath now. We went for our walk. You know, there's just really not a lot of content to this video, so hopefully I can get that other one squared away today, and then you'll see that video tomorrow, and then we'll continue this video later tomorrow. Of course, you won't know I said that until after you've seen the other video if it all works, so I guess it really doesn't matter. So either way, we're continuing this video tomorrow. Well, good morning again, guys. Alright, it is the next day. It is Wednesday, April 24th. So you know what that is? It's hump day. Yeah, and it's also my birthday. So, hey, look, my birthday and a hump day.
Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Woo-hoo!
We're gonna have to do something about that. All right, I am on my way into the TA, top off on some coffee, and get this day started. Well, the good news is that last night I was able to get that video finished editing, and I got it uploaded and scheduled to come out this morning at 9 a.m. So you guys should be starting to watch that any minute now. Of course, you'll most likely already seen it by the time you see this. But so today, although I do still have a little bit of work to do, I'm gonna try to get something accomplished on Goliath. So we got the mirrors, maybe some mud flaps. I don't know. We're gonna figure something out. All right, so now Katie and I are done with our workout, and I'm gonna take some measurements on some things. Then I think we're gonna head over to the chrome shop and look around and see if they have what we need there. I also noticed this morning that the Goose, remember he was parked over there? He's not here anymore. Maybe he moved over to the truck show. Who knows? All right, so I pulled out the trusty tape measure and I measured my mirrors. I measured my mud flaps. that we get over there. I don't know if there's a whole lot of choices on that stuff, but I at least wanted to know what I had so I can decide on what I'm gonna get. Guys, check out that Kenworth. That truck is absolutely beautiful. I love that blue on it. All right, and as I'm walking over here to the chrome shop, I see the Goose. He moved over there. All right, guys, so I found a marker light that I needed, but as far as mud flaps go, they've got a bunch of stuff here that, you know, is embroidered with names. I guess it's not really embroidered, but it's got names on it, or, you know, keep on truck and stuff like that, and it's really not my style. And these poly ones I don't like. They've got just these plain Jane black rubber ones, which I may do, and then maybe put some weights on the bottom of them so that it keeps it down so it doesn't get caught up in the wheel anymore. These are considerably longer than what I have on there, but they're only 20 bucks a piece. I may have to cut them down some. I have a feeling that might be my best bet. And as far as mirrors go, here's the problem I'm having. They've got these United Pacific ones, and they've got these Grand General ones. Now, they both look identical. There's a good chance they're made in the same factory, different names on them. None of them have the drain holes on them. And I remember somebody in the comments mentioning that you got to put the drain hole down on the mirror so that if water gets into the mirror, it can drain out and not freeze. And I think that's why my mirrors are breaking, is that they're freezing over the winter when they get some water in them. And none of these have the drain holes. Now, the two mirrors that are on the driver's side of Goliath, they're older styled groat mirrors. They're not chrome, they're just kind of like a galvanized metal looking type thing. But they have the drain holes in multiple spots around them. But these new ones don't, and I don't know that I want to spend the money on these to just have them break again next year. But I also don't want to drive around with cracked mirrors right now. So these are cheap. So I think I'm going to go ahead and get them and put them on, that way it's fixed for now. But I'm going to do some research on a mirror upgrade and see what we can do different. I actually want to change all the mirrors out. They've got the big, you know, West Coast style mirrors here. They don't have any that are power, and mine are power, and I like having that power adjustment. Okay, so I settled on just the plain Jane black mud flaps. Now these are about 4 inches wider than what is already on Goliath, so I may have to cut them down. I did the SH Tube 24-inch weights for the bottom. These are a little pricey, but they're very well built, and they're actually pretty heavy, and it comes with all the hardware. I went ahead and bought the two cheap mirrors. We're gonna hope that they last a while. As long as they last through the season, we'll be okay with that. And then I also grabbed the red marker light with the chrome cover to match the one that we put on last year. Now this is only a 2-wire, not as a turn signal, marker light only. And then, just because I wanted to, I bought a steering wheel knob. Now I'm not gonna use the clamp. I've got holes in my steering wheel, and I could tell somebody already had a knob bolted on there before. So I will remove the clamp and just bolt the knob right into the wheel. Maybe, we'll see how that works out. So I think I'm gonna start with the mirrors. They should be quick and easy and get them out of the way, and then I will move to the mud flaps. I'm gonna save the light for last, because on that I gotta crawl under the trailer, lay on the ground. That'll be the dirtiest job that I've got to do, so we're gonna save that one until last. So because these are the same exact mirrors, same exact bracketry, I'm leaving all the brackets in place. I'm just gonna unbolt here, swap out the mirror, put the new one on. Well, I'm not trying to brag, but that really only took about 1.5 minutes. On to the next project. Okay guys, and now on to the mud flaps. Now we're focusing on the ones on the front fenders, and I don't even know how necessary these are. I know the idea is to protect the fuel tank, but this is so short, it's not protecting the fuel tank anyways. And this one here on the passenger side, we've had a situation multiple times where it's actually got caught up in the tire going down the road, and that's why it's worn kind of funny. So I think them being short is part of the problem. So with these new ones, I'm gonna try to see how they hang full length. I think it'll offer better protection for the fuel tank. The other side, it'll offer protection for the battery box and the air tank. My concern is, got these kind of like caps on here that I painted over when I painted the truck, and I know that we're gonna distort that some, and I'm gonna have to do some touch-up paint afterwards. But I guess first things first, let's get these old mud flaps off and see how we can make those new ones work. Now these are also narrower, so I'm gonna have to cut those down, and then those weights were the same width as the new mud flaps, so there's a possibility I may have to cut the inside edge of them off as well to clear the cab panel. Well, the mud flap thing has started out to be quite the challenge. As you can see, I've got these 3 mounting points for the mud flap. This is consistent on both sides. The 2 more towards the inside of the truck got these smooth faces where they look like a carriage bolt, right? This one here is like a rubber cap that's all cracked and broken. Now on this one, when I went to go take the nut off, it just broke the nut right off. Same thing on this one. But in this one, the whole bolt is turning, but this head is not. Now I've got the same exact thing happening on the other side, except the 2 that look like carriage bolts, both of those are turning, and the one that looks like a rubber cap, it unthreaded normally. So what's weird is that the bolt's turning, why is the head not turning? And once I scraped the paint off of it like it did on the other side, you can clearly see that that is like stainless steel, or it looks like a carriage bolt head, but it's not turning with the bolt on the inside. And with it being that smooth carriage bolt type head, I can't grab a hold of it with any pliers or anything, at least not without taking any real risk of scratching up the paint on Goliath, which, you know, Goliath is not perfect. There's scratches and chips all over this thing, but I don't necessarily want to add to it. So I gotta decide whether I want to try to do that or just cut the other end of the bolt off. Some of them are already broken. I might as well just cut them off. The smell of burning mud flap. Got them. All right, so after cutting off the heads and then beating them out with a hammer, yeah, it's kind of a weird on the inside. I don't know, but apparently this was spinning and that outside cover was not spinning. So even if I could have grabbed a hold of it with something, it wouldn't have done us any good because it would have just spun inside. Either way, they're out. I'll just have to find some new hardware for it. I know I've got some stainless steel carriage bolts in the trailer, but nothing with that big of a head. I don't know, we'll come up with something. And here is the old mud flap on top of the new mud flap for comparison. So yeah, these are almost double the size. And I'll have to do a little bit of a trim notch here. That's where it cleared the fender. I may have to do the same thing over here because how much wider they are. And none of our bolt holes line up. Well, that one's close. All right, so I've marked my potential trim spots. So now I'm gonna go kind of test fit and see how it looks hanging in place. Okay, so I drilled my new holes in it and I notched for where it sets up inside the fender. This side I'm leaving long because I don't want to have to trim this if I don't have to, but if I have to, I will. But if I do, that means I've also got to trim these because these fit on the bottom and they're just about perfect width. So I want to leave it like that. But worst case scenario, I may have to trim this down some. All right, so they're just mocked up temporarily right now with just 2 bolts not even tightened in. And it's from the exterior, I think it looks great. My concern is the distance that sticks into the fender right there. Worried about it catching on this as the hood comes up and down. It may not be an issue. We're gonna open the hood and find out. All right, so if I leave this full width, that little corner right there is catching my hood bracket right here as I try to open the hood. So I was thinking about trying to just kind of taper that at an angle. That way it'll be more likely to kind of hit this and then deflect off rather than catching. The other problem I'm having is the cold air charge tube sticks out kind of far here as well. And as you see, if this comes back, it actually hits that. But the way it swings, it should miss that. I don't know. I'm gonna take off a little bit and see if I can make it better. But I think I'm also gonna go ahead and mount the weight to it. That way I can see dynamically how it's actually gonna work. And I can tighten up all the bolts. That'll keep all the angles the way it's gonna be in final assembly. You know, I might even be able to loosen up the turbo clamp here, and I might be able to clock that turbo just enough to get this to not be a problem, because it's just barely touching, just barely. Well, I think that when I raised the hood that time, I still felt this rub as it came past the bracket, but with it being angled, it didn't stop me from being able to open it. Like before, it was catching and I could really feel it. So I think maybe that will work. Now the carriage bolts that I had for up top, unfortunately they were only 1/4 they're definitely too small. Like if you look at these, 5/16 I think. But I think I want to go with a much larger carriage bolt up top or something like that, because the heads on them they almost want to go through the hole that was there. I think the holes that were there were even bigger than these. So yeah, I think when I go out tonight to go to dinner, I will stop by the hardware store and pick up some larger bolts for that. Now I've already got the other side cut as well, so we're gonna go grab that and test it and see if it fits. And that look of stainless when you first pull off the protective covering and you don't even have any fingerprints on it yet. Yeah, that won't last long. All right, so this side all looks like it's gonna work well. What I did do is go through my nut and bolt bin, and I found some 3/8 bolts that fit through the holes in the hood, perfect. They fit through the holes in the mud flap, perfect. I did have to drill out the holes on that little inner bar that kind of helps support it. So I think when I go out, I will find some 3/8 bolts, hopefully something pretty, maybe a button head with an Allen on it or something, that I can put this together with a large chrome fender washer, and it will make it all look nice. But it's there, it's done for now. Well, I didn't mention it while we were doing the mud flap project, but in the process of clocking that turbo a little bit to get clearance for that mud flap, I decided, you know, it'd be a good idea to go through and double check all of the boots and hoses that we put on last month on our way home from Daytona. It's been about 1,500 miles. You know, things kind of heat up and they expand, they contract, and they seat in. And I got quite a few turns on a lot of the clamps. But I did notice we had one clamp that just wasn't sitting right. So where the cold air charge pipe comes from the intercooler and down to the intake manifold, we've got this 90-degree bend. We've got a clamp here, and there was one here that I had removed. Now this is one of the clamps that we got while we were at Summit, and it's definitely not the same quality as some of the other clamps that we had gotten. And I noticed it just wasn't sitting right. In fact, it was sitting kind of crooked on the pipe, and I could actually get my fingernail between the clamp and the boot on the top side of it, not on the bottom, because it wasn't sitting flat. So I decided to loosen it up, readjust it, and tighten it back down. And as I was trying to loosen the nut up, it was really, really hard to do. Like the threads were galled, so maybe I over-torqued it or something when I put it on. I don't know. But I decided to take it off and see if the truck stop had a new one, and I had to break it to get it apart, because as you can see, the threads here are galled up pretty good. Yeah. So obviously my fault. I was in a hurry that night. Summit was closing. They wanted me out of the parking spot, and I probably just made a mistake. But luckily, the TA had a pretty good heavy-duty clamp. It's not the T-bolt style like I like, but it's heavier dutier than what I took off. So I'm going to fit this on there, snug it down, and maybe we still had some boost leaks I didn't realize. Well, unfortunately, this one doesn't quite tighten down far enough. I'm going to run back over to TA, see if they have one size smaller. Hey guys, you can see Speed's Performance Plus pulled in the parking lot a little while ago. They're probably hanging out here until they're ready to go set up in Leesburg. All right, I think that's going to work out much better. Well guys, it's kind of hard to believe that it is already almost 5 o'clock. So I'm going to stop for the day. I'm going to go get ready to go inside the truck stop. Katie and I are going to take showers, and then we're going to head out for my birthday dinner. Nothing like that feeling of a nice fresh shower. guys, so as you see, we decided on Bonefish Grill. You know, we really enjoyed it last year, and we hadn't been here since or to any other Bonefish Grills. One of those restaurants we just don't come to very often. And only one of you had made a suggestion on a restaurant, at least last I checked. I haven't checked in a few hours. And he suggested McCracken's over in downtown Leesburg. Now, we are going to be in downtown Leesburg in a couple of days, so we may still eat there. It just wasn't what I wanted for my birthday dinner. So they're an Irish pub, and I love Irish fare, don't get me wrong. Just birthday dinner, I kind of wanted a steak. And if you guys recognize that voice in the background, well, Bob and Tam are here. They decided to meet us for dinner. Well, guys, the night has gotten away from us. Bob and Tam are finally leaving. We're saying our goodbyes. It is almost midnight, and we got here at 7.
Which means it's not his birthday anymore.
We closed the restaurant down. They kind of kicked us out. Not really, but I mean, they made it apparent.
Turn the lights off.
Yeah, they made it apparent that it was time to leave. So we came out to leave, and then we just been standing. Yeah, no, all the employees have even gone home.
Well, what the problem with us was the bench was more comfortable than the seats that were in there.
Yeah, so now we've been sitting out here for like an hour and a half just talking.
That was very
anyway, we still got to ride back to the truck stop, get in Goliath. I got to edit this video, so we're going to end this one here, guys. Say goodnight to Bob and Tam. Say goodnight to us, and until the next time we see you.
Keep those engines running.
What she said.
Ba-ding.